Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome again to the show. A little later on, we're going to be chatting with Huskies head coach Todd Alexander. Fort St. John Huskies, of course, are three-peat champions of the Northwest Junior Hockey League as of last weekend. They're heading to the Junior B provincials in Alberta next weekend, so we'll chat a bit about the season that was and what's still to come over in those Junior B championships and what they're looking forward to. But first, yesterday, Northern Health and the First Nations Health Authority released a toxic drug warning, and it's very serious, and we've put out a story about it, and we thought we'd talk a bit about more what it is, what it means, and what's in it with our friend Jody Millward from the Director Health Emergency Management with the First Nations Health Authority, who joins me now from Hope. Hello, Jody. Welcome to Moose Talks.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for making the time to be with us today. So I thought we'd start with this, as I believe it's been some time since we've seen one of these. Can you tell us a bit about what a toxic drug alert is in the first place and kind of where it comes from?
Yeah, for sure. So the alerts are created when we're seeing an increase in overdose events happening in a certain area. And I really have to take this opportunity to give the kudos to our on-the-ground workers and our peers, our people with lived and living experience who take the time to pay attention to what's happening to people, helping to take care of people, and getting the information together so that we can put these alerts together and send them out more broadly. So it's really information that's coming from the people who are directly impacted by the toxic drug supply. And so the alerts they start usually informally by word of mouth among peers, and then the frontline workers and the peers work together to send them out over social media, and then the information does make its way to the health authorities, where we put more formal reports together in this kind of format to share it more broadly.
I see. So if essentially frontline workers, people just in general noticing overdoses happening with kind of this specific context, right? For example, in this one, blue meth, green heroin, and speed bennies, the one specifically in Fort St. John, they start talking about it more. It eventually makes its way up, and you guys notice there's a bigger problem than, say, normal is not the word I want, but sort of then what kind of is generally happening. And then you say, well, we got to get the word out and tell people that there's something up here. There's something really dangerous that's going on.
Yes, for sure. And it actually can happen quite quickly. Mm-hmm. So we don't like to let days go in between when we're seeing an increase, and because it puts people at risk. We're putting lives at risk. So it happens quite quickly. Okay.
Well, I have to ask then kind of historically, is this something that happens a lot, or is this something that I have to think hard to think of the last time we saw one even in here in Fort St. John, or is this a fairly rare occurrence?
So this is a double question. Yeah. So overdoses are increasing over the province and Canada dramatically. So are we seeing overdose events increase? For sure. Last year was the worst year that we've had for overdose deaths and incidences. So this isn't getting better, it's getting worse. Unfortunately, that it usually takes a few extra events or incidences to put an actual alert out. So if there's an alert, it's a serious, immediate need or risk that's being addressed.
Okay. I want to talk.
And they happen quite regularly across the province. Sorry.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. My apologies there, Jody. Well, then with that in mind, I mean, we've been seeing the numbers happening here in Fort St. John and growing too, unfortunately. Can you tell us a bit about this specific alert then and sort of what's been happening and what's in the alert itself?
Yeah, for sure. So this alert actually is talking about 3 different reported substances, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So it's what they're calling blue meth, green heroin, and speed bennies. The blue meth and green heroin are reported to be mixed with antifreeze, which is creating seizures and the requirement for hospitalization. And then the speed bennies actually don't have aren't reported to have any opioids in them at all. So the unique piece with this alert is that naloxone may not work. So if you come across somebody who's overdosing and you administer naloxone, there is a chance that the naloxone won't be able to do its job because it only works on opioids or fentanyl or heroin. So always administer naloxone. Immediately call 911 every time with this added risk. And really give those life-saving breaths. That's going to make a huge difference in this situation.
Okay. The alert, I guess you can't speak to where this is coming from or what's changed, I suppose, and why something's been mixed with antifreeze. That's just a drug supply thing, I guess, that's happening, that these people unfortunately are accessing now. I wonder what people who are users, people who are supporting users, whether it's friends or family, frontline workers, if it's me walking down the street and I see something like this happening, is there something we should be doing maybe more of, or something we can be doing that might help prevent this and help prevent these overdoses from happening and then being fatal?
Yeah, for sure. There are things that we can do. So we are asking people who are currently using, and that's all people who use drugs. So not just everybody who uses them recreationally or at home. We're asking you to not use alone, to have a plan in place, to make sure somebody knows that you're using and that you're safe after you use. If you don't have somebody in your life that you make the plan with, to use like the Lifeguard app or another life-saving app, and that you, if you can, check your drugs and know what your tolerance levels are. For those of us who love people who use drugs and want to help support, it's reach out to your loved ones, reach out to people and let them know that you want to be part of their plan, that you want to help keep people safe. This is how we remove that stigma and the pieces that are killing people. When people are using alone, they're at greater risk. As somebody who loves people who uses drugs, learn how to use naloxone, learn how to administer it, and carry a face mask, a CPR face mask, a one-way valve one, and know how to give life-saving breaths. So if you come across somebody on the street or somebody in your home, a loved one, you know the steps that it takes to save their lives.
Okay. I suppose I have to ask, what's next with this alert then? Is this alert sort of trigger something where authorities like, the First Nations Health Authority, Northern Health, maybe even, other first kind of responders or frontline people monitoring the situation more, looking for more clues as to maybe what's happening, where this is coming from, or if the situation is getting better in the future? What's kind of next in this step here, if there is one?
Well, that's not under my that's not under my portfolio, unfortunately. But I think the alerts remain really important because they let us know if there's something unusual around the way that we would normally respond. So even though there may not be next steps around the supply or what to do with the toxic drug supply, it definitely lets people know that this particular combination of drugs may require a special way of responding if somebody overdoses or get sick from it. So the alerts are really important and help us understand what we need to do to keep people alive.
Okay. All right, Jody. Well, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us about this alert and give us more knowledge, which is what we can all use, and hopefully maybe it'll save a couple overdoses and maybe a couple lives in the process. Jody, thank you so much for taking some time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. That's Jody Millward, the Director of Health Emergency Management with the First Nations Health Authority. Welcome back to the show. All right, well, the Fort St. John Huskies are three-peat champions in the Northwest Junior Hockey League. That's 3 seasons in a row that they've won, and they're about to head off to the Junior B Alberta Provincials coming up next weekend. So to talk about the season that was, and a little bit about what's coming up, we're joined now by Huskies head coach, Todd Alexander. Todd, how's it going today, sir?
Awesome, buddy. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being here with me. You can look at me, by the way, for this.
Perfect.
So tell me a bit about the championship series. How are you feeling about it? Of course, you guys won 4-2. Did it surprise you that the Kings were able to get 2 games on you guys?
No, not really. At that time of year when playoff hockey, things like that happen when you're playing somebody each and every night. They can figure out ways to take things away from you that you tend to be doing a lot. And so there's lots of adjustments that need to be made in playoffs, that sort of style. It was great adversity for our club, too. We didn't really have a whole bunch of adversity during the regular season. We kind of walked through the fire unscathed there through regular season. So, in both series, we were pushed by both clubs and faced with a little bit of adversity, and I was pretty impressed with the way our hockey club handled it.
Yeah. I want to talk about that first series, too, against the Kodiaks, because, again, I think you had won 2, if I remember right. Then they got 2 on you in a row. Did you and or the team kind of panic about that at all? Was there any sort of like, oh, well, what's happening? Like, are they really going to give it to us here? Or did you find that everyone kind of remained calm and said, well, they got 2, doesn't mean we can't get 2 in a row and keep this going, and there's nothing to worry about?
Yeah, no, that's more of the stance that our group does. We do a lot of activities that pay attention to deflecting negativity.
Yeah.
I can't tell you whether or not positivity works. I know that positivity is a good thing, but at the end of the day, when someone approaches you and tells you to be positive, you don't really take that as a positive message. So we do work on deflecting negativity and paying attention to what we say, so that we don't have negative things come out of our mouths. It's okay for it to pop into our heads, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't come out of our mouth, then it doesn't have the power to cycle through our group. And we do a good job of that. We've put a lot of time and effort into that part of our game, and it showed up in both series, and I was very pleased with the way the boys handled it.
Mm-hmm. Would you say then the practice kind of after both those games where you lost 2 in a row, you had to remind the team of that? You said, guys, we're going to keep working. We know that if we play, we're better than everybody else in this league and we can beat them. Just keep kind of your eyes on the prize. And was that kind of your message to remind them that, hey, those 2 games don't matter, just the games in front of us do?
Yeah, actually, quite honestly, through my hockey career myself, I've been through a lot. There's not a lot of things that I haven't been through. I've been down 3 rip, 3-1, up 3 rip, up 3-1. Been on all kinds of different situations. So when we were going through it, I actually told the boys that I was on this side of the fence enjoying myself, watching them have to deal with adversity. And, pretty proud with how they handled it and whatnot. But that was what the message was I knew that they were going through some tough times, and it was going to be a struggle to get their mentality back to where it needed to be in order for us to play and be successful. But telling them that I was enjoying myself on the other side of the fence was kind of an eye-opener for them, because I've been there before, and it's all good. And you're faced with those types of things, and how you answer and get up off the mat is what we're judged by. And obviously they went on and figured it out and did a good job with that.
So then you go on, it works out during the Kodiaks. You win 4-2 to win the cup against the JDA Kings. 3 seasons in a row. What does that mean to you in this team? Because obviously the team from two seasons before that won, probably very different from this team that won this year, because there's been 2 years without competition there.
Yeah, we still have a couple guys that are left from that group, and I mean, you know, we were looking like we were going back there. Anyways, when they shut the finals down, we just had finished beating Fairview 4-rip with that hockey club, and then they shut us down. You know, I think that we had really good opportunity to be going back to provincials that year as well. So, and then fast forward 2 years later, you lose quite a bit of your hockey club, and you know, no one's played any games in 2 years, and so it was a big challenge to teach the entire group of what you wanted to do and how we go about our business. But the guys that have been around, fortunate enough that we'd had a few key veterans that have still been around here and know how this place operates. They just took off and ran with the ball right away, and our leadership group has done that all year.
Yeah, it was very fun to watch. Then we're moving on to junior pre-provincials now to kind of look ahead, coming up next weekend in Wainwright. Tell me if I'm wrong. I did some looking into this. As far as I can tell, the Huskies have never won this tournament. Is that
That's correct.
Yeah. What do you think, first of all, if any adjustments you make from winning this championship to playing in a tournament like the Junior P Provincials? Are there adjustments you need to make? Is there something you're thinking of maybe you have to do differently that requires that this tournament maybe requires of this team that they haven't had to do before, if anything?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the tournament style of games is a lot different. Also, you're dealing with the best teams in the province now. Everybody that's here has got an excellent hockey club, you know, and so it's the challenge is to be able to bring your game up to that next level of speed as it will be this weekend. So, yeah, there's some things that we made adjustments in practice this week. We got a couple more practices before we hit the road and whatnot, but you know, at the end of the day, the hockey itself is way different than what we just went through here with the playoff style where you got to see everybody each and every night. Now you're in one-off games, so each game is basically like playing a game 7. So it's and the style of hockey itself is a little bit different. There's more possession, there's more skill, there's a little bit more speed in the play. So we're excited to put our systems in play and see how our boys do and against this type of competition.
Does it change your approach or the team's approach, given that you don't know these teams? You know the teams in your own league that you've played against them all season long. This will be, you're playing them all for the first time. Is there something else you do, again, differently, or is it maybe a little nerve-wracking to say, well, we're going to prepare as well as we can, but at the end of the day, we're just going to have to see what happens on the ice?
Yeah, no, our preparation is basically just worrying about ourselves and playing our game and making sure that we're doing the things that make us successful, and we'll see where the cards lay after that. If there's some adjustments in-game that we need to make, we'll do that. We got a group that can handle that type of situation. We've proved it before with a few different adjustments that we made in-game during these playoffs that we weren't doing before, you know, and completely dealing with two different style of hockey clubs back to back. One was a little bit more patient with their forecheck, the other one was heavier on the forecheck. So, you know, things like that we had to make adjustments on the fly was good for us, because down here, if something's not working, then and they're getting opportunities out of it, then we got to make a change real quick, because you only got 60 minutes to do it.
Yeah. What do you think gives you an edge in this? What makes you guys winners in the Junior B Provincials, you think?
Well, I think that our style of play, we play a fast possession style play of game, and I think that'll bid well for us down there. You know, the last couple times that we'd been down there, I think that our special teams was something that we wanted to improve on, and I also know that you know, our top players have got to be our top players when we get there. Period. You know, whoever's hockey club can get that figured out and be able to play as a complete team, but having your top guys go, and then, you know, usually those are the guys that end up with success. And then you can never forget about goaltending, and I've been really happy with our goaltender all year, and the other two guys that have been behind him, and I'm sure one of those guys will have to play while we're down there as well, just because the way the schedule it is. So, you know, all those things just got to be firing on all cylinders to give yourself an opportunity, and I think that this is a group that could do that.
Awesome. Well, Todd, I'm hoping the next time we chat, we can chat about a championship win for you guys. Thank you so much for taking some time to come here and chat with me today. I really appreciate
it, buddy.
All right, that's Todd Alexander, the head coach and hockey operations with the Fort St. John Huskies.